The Tale of Benjamin Bunny. One morning, a little rabbit sat on a bank. He pricked his ears and listened to the trit-trot of a pony. It was gigging, coming along from the road. It was driven by Mr. McGregor, and beside him sat Mrs. McGregor on her best bonnet. As soon as they had passed, little Benjamin Bunny slid to the road and set off with a hop, skip, and a jump to call upon his relations who lived in a wood at the back of Mr. McGregor's garden. That wood was full of rabbit holes, and in the neatest, sandiest hole of all lived Benjamin's aunt and his cousins Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. Old Mrs. Rabbit was a widow. She earned her living by knitting rabbit wool mittens and muffies. I once bought her a pair of bazaar. She also sold herbs and rosemary tea and rabbit tobacco, which is what we call lavender. Little Benjamin did not very much want to see his aunt. He came around the back of the fir tree and the nearby tumbled upon off the top of his cousin Peter. Peter was sitting by himself. He looked poorly and was dressed in a red cotton pocket handkerchief. "Peter," said the little Benjamin in a whisper. "Who has got your clothes?" Peter replied. "A scarecrow in Mr. Gregor's garden," and described how he had been chased out of the garden and dropped his shoes and coat. Little Benjamin sat down beside his cousin and assured him that Mr. McGregor had gone out in a gig. Mrs. McGregor also, and certainly for the day, because she was wearing her best bonnet. Peter said he hoped that it would rain. At this point, old Mrs. Rabbit's voice heard inside the rabbit hole calling, "Cottontail, Cottontail, fetch some more camomile." Peter said he thought he might feel better if he went for a walk. They went away in the hand and up on the flat top of the wall and at the bottom of the wood. From they looked down to Mr. McGregor's garden. Peter's coat and shoes were plainly to be seen upon the scarecrow, topped with an old tam oceaner of Mr. McGregor's. Little Benjamin said, "It spoils people's clothes to squeeze under the gate. The proper way to get in is to climb down a pear tree." Peter fell down head first, but it was no consequence. As the bed flowed, it was newly raked and quite soft. It had been sown with lettuces. They left a great many old little footmarks all over the bed, especially little Benjamin, who was wearing clogs. Little Benjamin said that the first thing to be done was to get back to Peter's clothes, in order they might be able to use the pocket handkerchief. They used them to the scarecrow, where had been rain during the night. There was water in the shoes, and the coat was somewhere shrunk. Benjamin tried on the tam o' shanter, but it was too big for him. Then he suggested that they should fill the pocket handkerchief with onions as a little present for his aunt. Peter did not seem to be enjoying himself. He kept hearing noises. Benjamin, on the contrary, was perfectly at home and ate lettuce leaf. He said he was in the habit of coming the garden with his father to get lettuces for their Sunday dinner. The name of the Benjamin's papa was old Mr. Benjamin Bunny. The lettuces certainly were very fine. Peter did not eat anything. He said he should like to go home. Presently he dropped half of the onions. Little Benjamin said it was not possible to get back up the pear tree on the load of the vegetables. He led on boldly towards the other end of the garden. They went along a little walk on the planks under a sunny red brick wall. The mice sat on the doorsteps, cracking cherry stones, and winked at Peter Rabbit and little Benjamin Bunny. Presently, Peter let the pocket handkerchief go again. They got the amongst flower pots and frames and tubes. Peter heard noises worse than ever. His eyes were big as lollipops. He was a step on two in the front of his cousin when he suddenly stopped. This is what those little rabbits saw around that corner. Little Benjamin took one look. Then, in a half of a minute, less than no time, he hid himself and Peter and the onions underneath a large basket. The cat got up and stretched herself, then came and sniffed the basket. Perhaps he liked the smell of onions. Anyway, she sat up. She sat down upon the top of the basket and sat there for 5 hours. I cannot draw you a picture of Peter and Benjamin underneath the basket because it was quite dark, and because the smell of onions was fiercely, it made Peter Rabbit and little Benjamin cry. The sun got around behind the wood, and it was quite late for the afternoon. But still, the cat sat upon the basket. At length there was pitter-patter, and some bits of mortar fell from the wall above. The cat looked up and saw old Mr. Benjamin Bunny practicing along the top wall of upper trance. He was smoking a pipe of rabbit tobacco and a little switch of his hand. He was looking for his son.